I'm Kayla with Flora and Folly, and today I'm going to do my very first tutorial, my very first Friday flower tutorial. So today, being that it is the eve of the Chinese New Year, I thought, why not do a Chinese New Year inspired arrangement? So it's going to be really fun, I think. And first of all, I thought, what am I going to put it in? So I thought of a steamer basket, a bamboo steamer basket would be really fun and very festive, very appropriate as the theme for the vessel for the arrangement. And I just went to Cost Plus World Market yesterday and picked this one up for $12.99, so pretty cheap. And I'm gonna reuse it later probably to make some food in. But for that reason, I lined it. And also for the reason that it's a steamer basket, there's holes in the bottom. So I lined this with some tin foil because I can just recycle it when I'm done with it, which is very environmentally friendly, unlike the floral foam inside. And it's recently come to my attention that this is super bad for the environment. So I am on a mission this year to be a little bit more cognizant of what I'm doing for my flowers, with my flowers, and to make it more environmentally friendly. So yes, I have this. I already have it in stock, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use it, but hopefully in another Flower Friday tutorial, you'll see me not using it. So I lined my basket, and then I soaked my floral foam in water and fit it to the basket accordingly. So now that's all ready to go. What I got yesterday from the flower market was red and yellow, basically, right? Because that's when I think Chinese New Year, the colors are it's red and yellow as an accent, or maybe even gold. But I ran into these stunners, these beautiful large red dahlias. They're gorgeous. The vibrant red is perfect for this arrangement, so I couldn't resist those. Now, they are a little on the pricey side, so I could have substituted with something else like carnations, and I'm not a carnation hater. A lot of people are, I get it, but I'm not. And so I could have substituted with that, but these were just too beautiful. I couldn't pass them up. So I'm definitely gonna use those. And then I also grabbed these tulips, which are red with yellow on the tips of them. So perfect, the little accent color is gonna be gorgeous. And then also picked up some Matsumoto asters. Matsumoto, sounds a little more Japanese than Chinese, I know, but they look perfect. This beautiful like pom-pom shape of it all is very festive and celebratory. And it's got this gorgeous, nice red on the outside with a yellow accent in the center. So these three are my main goodies for the entire arrangement. And then I also picked up a couple of accents because you gotta have a couple of, wow factors in an arrangement that make it kind of stand out. So I grabbed this bleached Italian ruscus, which I find very intriguing. I just like how stark white it is. I mean, you don't find this in nature, no, so it's been modified, but I do like using it in bridal bouquets a lot because it adds a nice texture and it's really pretty. But for this, I actually spray painted it, as well as these. I picked up some Craspedia, or Billy Balls if you're nasty. They are easy to spray paint because they are so hardy. And really, if you were to dry those, they probably wouldn't look much different than they do right now. So for that reason, you can use any old spray paint. It doesn't matter. They do make floral specific spray paint, but that's really for the more delicate types of flowers. So since I know these aren't delicate, I went ahead and sprayed with what I had on hand. So this Italian, the ruscus, I sprayed with this, it's actually caramel latte, Krylon spray paint. It looks kind of goldish though. And then I finished it off with a layer of some glitter spray. So good old Michael's, just go grab some glitter spray, and it's very, very gold. You probably can't see in the video, but I'll have to get a close-up later. And then also for the Billy balls, I sprayed those with some of this glitter paint as well. So, like I said, I'll get a close-up of this later, and then you can probably see the glittery tones in it up close. So, getting started, now that I have everything all laid out and prepared, which is a lot of steps, but that would make this video way too long. So maybe that's a good one for another tutorial of how to prep for making an arrangement. I've got a great big bunch of greenery here. I only got one type of greenery from the mart because I want this to mostly be the flowers, not a ton of greenery. I really want red, red, red. So I got this great bunch of greenery, and this will do me good for the whole arrangement. So I'm gonna get started with greening out my arrangement. And basically, you're just gonna wanna snip pieces that are about the right height of the arrangement, and you're gonna stick them in like this one. This one's kind of all ready to go. And I'm just gonna kind of stick it in my arrangement there. There we go. And you're gonna want to make sure you get greenery all around and in between, kind of almost haphazardly, because you don't want it to be too perfect. So I'm gonna switch over so you don't have to watch me do this the whole time. Put in a little time lapse of this so you can watch, but you really can't go wrong here, but you do need to kind of fill it in so you've got everything filled in from the base. So I'll switch over and I will be back in just a bit. Okay, now that that part's done, I'm gonna move on to my floral portion. So I am gonna start with my Big Mac Daddies because I want these to be the showstoppers of the arrangement. So I'm gonna put them in first to make sure that they are focal. And you only get 5 in a bunch, so I have to choose wisely where I want to put them in the arrangement. So now, since this is a full 360 arrangement because it's for a centerpiece, I'm gonna need to make sure that it looks good from all angles. So I'm gonna distribute these wisely. And so pretty much I can tell by looking at them. There's this one, the head is tilted, so this one's facing outward. This one's facing up. I've got another going outward, outward and up. So I've got three that are kind of tilted outwards and 2 that are kind of facing up. So I'm gonna work with that in this arrangement and use that to my advantage. So first one, tilting. Now, if you've done any research or, read or listened to any other tutorials on flowers, you probably know all the basics, and I might be repeating that stuff, but oh well, it's all truth. Like cutting your stems at an angle, which in this case, it probably doesn't really matter. The whole purpose of that is so that your stem doesn't lay flat against the bottom of a vase and it can't drink any water, it's gonna suffocate. So when you're cutting it at an angle, it allows itself to drink. Now, this is a little different in this case because it's in flower foam and it's gonna be surrounded by water. So it doesn't really matter how I cut the stems, but it's already in my nature and a habit to cut it at an angle. So that's what I'm gonna do. And basically you can just hold the flower right where you think you want it in the arrangement and get a good eye. You know how deep the vase goes. So cut your stem like right about there, maybe a little bit longer, especially if you're not good at eyeballing it, just to give it that extra space, because that was one of the big mistakes that I made when I was first arranging flowers, was that I was not good at gauging how long the stems should be, and I always cut them too short. And then my arrangements were kind of a little too clustered, and they didn't have the ability to have, some variance in height. So it's something I had to learn the hard way, but I am going to So I need to cut it because I cut it too long, which is, like I said, it's not a bad problem to have. Cutting it a little bit shorter, not a problem. So here we go, first flower in, and you can see it's at a nice height with the greenery. It's pretty level. It's filling up an open space that I had left amongst the greenery, and that's what I just want to do with the rest of the flowers. You probably also, if you've done any research and know how to arrange flowers at all, you know that you're supposed to strip the leaves, and that is absolutely true. So you want to get rid of anything that might be going into that water or into the foam for that matter, because it just promotes bacteria growth, and your arrangement, point blank, isn't going to last as long. So there's that. Another flower in there. Oh my gosh, these are so beautiful. Dahlias are one of my favorite flowers. Even though I say I don't play favorites, and I don't, I will use any flower, but of course I have ones that I like a little bit more than others. All right, so I've got 3 dahlias going out, and now my last 2 will be in the center. That might be a little tall. I'm not sure yet, but it's okay. Have fun with it and play around with flowers. You kind of can't go wrong because flowers are beautiful naturally. So it's all a learning process. All right, dahlia's done, I believe. Yes. Now I'm gonna move on to adding some of my filler in. So here's all my dahlias. You can see them from all angles, no matter where you're looking. So it'll be pretty from any angle, any seat you're sitting at the table. And now I'm gonna start to put in some of my Matsumoto asters, which is probably gonna take a while. So I'm gonna skip back over to that time lapse again, save some time here. Be right back. Okay, so now I have all the asters in the arrangement. As you can see, it's getting fuller, definitely taking up a lot of space, but there's also still a lot of room for the other stuff I'm gonna put in there. So I'm gonna move on and now put in my tulips. And I'm gonna talk a little bit while I do this. So bear with me, but the tulips are great. This extra leaf towards the top that is just blends right in with the stem is great for arrangements to help it stay in place. So these stems can be a little cookie at times. So having that extra leverage there to get it to stay in place in arrangement is really kind of helpful. So, and it adds the greenery. So it's a win-win. I am just gonna start putting these tulips around anywhere that I see a nice open spot that might want this pop of yellow. So, because it is a lot brighter yellow than the center of the asters. So it actually sticks out quite a bit more. All right, so Chinese New Year officially starting tomorrow. And I had to do a little homework on this because I'm not very hip to it. I don't know a whole lot about it. Except that I know it has to do with some animals, right? There's a year of the whatever. This year happens to be the year of the rat. And the rat is the first animal in the zodiac calendar. Why? Well, I looked that up. I guess, according to one myth, so there's probably a lot of different stories, and depending how they're translated, they get interpreted a certain way. But the Jade Emperor decided he needed animals as guards for the palace, and he needed 12 of them. And so a bunch of animals decided to head on over to the palace to be part of this. Well, the rat was very cunning. He tricked the ox into getting a ride to the palace. So he rode on the back of the ox all the way to the palace. And then once they got there, just before the finish line, he ran up the ox's back, jumped ahead of him, and therefore became the first animal to arrive. So, rat is number 1 in the Chinese calendar. Some of the qualities of the rat are interesting. They don't line up with maybe our Western culture, that's for sure. But the rat to Chinese was a sign of wealth and abundance. I think maybe to us Americans here, the rat is kind of a symbol of New York City, if you ask me. But the Chinese believed otherwise. Side note, funny story, while I was in New York City, just a few years ago, we went down to Grand Central Station to go eat at an oyster bar that we had been to previously and had an amazing experience at. So it was for my husband's 40th birthday, and this was a surprise trip, and it was really great. We actually had a friend drive all the way from Boston to meet us in New York City just to hang out with us, and we hadn't seen him for a really long time, so that was fun. And we decided, okay, let's go to this restaurant in Grand Central with him. So, okay, seems like it's gonna be great, right? Well, during our meal, we're sitting there chatting, eating, whatever. Out of the corner of my eye, I see this creature scurrying across my sight line there, and a girl screamed because it ran up against her legs, and I swear to God, I thought this was a cat. It was that big, out of the corner of my eye. And I don't exaggerate. If you know me, I'm not an exaggerator, but I seriously thought this thing was a cat. No, it was a rat. And I know they're there. We all know they're there. But it was not a pleasant experience. So we won't be going to that restaurant ever again, because the experience was tainted by a big, ginormous rat. So maybe if I were Chinese, I would have been like, woo, I'm gonna win the lottery. But nope, it's just not a symbol of wealth in my mind, unfortunately. Funny thing too, for the Chinese, the rat is also something that married couples would pray to have a baby because of their rate of reproduction. So the rat became an animal that Chinese would say a little prayer to get pregnant. Whatever works, right? Whatever floats your boat. So, again, maybe if I'd paid a little homage to a rat, we would have been pregnant sooner. It all happens when it's supposed to happen. TMI maybe, for my first video. Well, my last tulip is here, and I think I found where I want to, I'm not sure. Yep, nope, can't commit to that spot yet. I need to turn it all the way around and make sure, oh no, maybe over here. Yep, nope, this is a better spot. I like this spot right here. Nice. There we go. So now, hopefully you can see in the video, the yellow that's popping, mostly red, which was my goal, and then these pops of yellow. So now I'm gonna do my fun, ooh, that's interesting, or oh, that's a cool element. So I always like to put in something that's kind of interesting or unique. Maybe not even like real flowers. You never know, like it's really fun, like feathers. Feathers are a thing to throw in there sometimes. It's just fun to play around with. So I'm chopping up my ruscus in a couple of strategic places to make it go further. So I just took this one stem and I have 4 pieces. So I had the top, which is great, perfect little amount of stem to stick in there. And then the next one down, so from there to there, and then this one, and finally the last piece. So always get the most for your money, right? So now I'm just gonna fill these pieces in some more of the empty spots and have it stick out in some cute little random places. That's cute, that's fun. Okay, this is a good one probably for the top, right there. There we go. Another nice long one. There. Okay, and then I could do the same for this piece. And just chop off as many pieces I can to make it go far. Now this one, I'm not sure. I could actually cut it here and have 2 pieces, but I don't know, I kind of like how full this is. It might not be enough if I break it up into 2 pieces. So I think what I'm going to do is keep them together. I might change my mind though, you never know. Like I said, you got to play around with it. Oh no, I like that. That works. I think I'll keep it. Okay. Always strip those leaves. You don't want any of that in your water or your foam. Why? Because it takes up unnecessary space. And 2, it promotes bacteria growth. So your arrangement isn't going to last as long. I'm telling you. Make sure you do all the work. Okay, got one more piece. This is also why florists' hands are ugly hands. We do a lot of work with our hands, and flowers are rough. Stems, leaves, really rough on your hands. It dries them out. I never have nice nails because of flowers. Who knew something so pretty could be so rough? So, done with my tulips, done with my spray painted ruscus. Now I have these billy balls to put in there and just to stick out into some random fun cool places. Nothing really strategic about this. Just sticking them like out, not too far. You want them to stick out? I do. You don't have to in your arrangement, but I like to have them, you know, kind of stand out. It's good to have different levels, so different tiers, so your eye, it's very pleasing to your eye when you're looking at all these different things. So that's what I tend to try to go with. Everyone has their own style though. This is just my personal style. So they call it, in the flower world, they call it a garden style. So yes, I do have a very garden aesthetic to my florals. So I actually have a blank spot in my arrangement here, and I'll tell you why later, but there is a reason why I kind of have an empty spot at the top of my arrangement. I'm gonna put something there. Spoiler alert. Okay, so there, I've just got some random billy balls, and it's basically done. So all I want to do now is go back in and fill in maybe some of that empty space, because there's a couple places where I can actually still see my flower foam. which is not a big deal. You just fill it in with some more greenery or flowers, but usually I just do greenery because you can snip off nice small pieces and just kind of fit it in there, and it fills up the space. So let's see, right about here, you probably can't see this on the camera, but there's kind of an empty space right here. So I'm just gonna find a nice little piece of my greenery, pull off with some leaves so I have a nice amount of stem going in, and I'm just gonna put this all the way down in there. There, and now it fills that space in. So that's what I'm doing all around. Not much, just a few. You definitely have to get at eye level with your arrangement because you see things from a different perspective. So if I get down low, I can definitely see that there's some spots where I've missed and I'm gonna need to fill in a little bit. So that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna take the time to do that, and then I'll be back to show you the finished product. Okay, so last but not least, there's one final thing that I'm going to add to my arrangement. What I did was I took a pair of chopsticks from a Chinese takeout, and I just took one of them, and I found this really cute graphic online that was totally free, and it actually was in 2 different colors. So I printed out both colors, and I figured this would be like yin and yang. Cute, right? And I put it on one of the skewers, and I'm just gonna add this little pick into my arrangement, purposefully in this kind of a blank spot that I left here on top, because I kind of had this already in mind. So I will just put that right on into my arrangement, and now done, voila. So I hope you liked my Chinese New Year inspired floral arrangement. Let me know if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions for my next Floral Friday video. Thanks for watching.